Let's go ahead and begin with homework exercise number 6 from section 6.2, part 2. All right, let's read the problem and see exactly what they want. It says an island has 12 fur seal rookeries breeding places. To estimate the fur seal population in rookery A, 497 seal pups were tagged in early August. In late August, a sample of 800 was observed and 242 were tagged. Of these were found to be previously tagged. Use a proportion to estimate the total number of fur seal pups in rookery A. Okay, now again, the 12 breeding places, that doesn't have anything to do with the problem because we're just go ahead and using all the different breeding places. So that doesn't come into effect. What comes into effect is tagged and total. So if we set up a proportion, we have the number of tagged in the numerator and the number of the total in the denominator. And you could flip it. You could do total over tagged as long as you're consistent. But I'll do tagged over total. Now what do we have? In late August, a sample of 800 were observed. So 800 is the total. And 242 were found to be tagged, okay? So that's in late August. Back in early August, 4,975 were tagged. So that goes in the numerator. 4,975 were tagged. And then the total we don't know, so that's what we'll call X. So setting up this proportion will give us an estimated total number. Tagged over total, and then tagged at the beginning over, all of them were tagged, so this will give us the total in all the breeding places. So once we set up, we can cross multiply and get 242x is equal to 4,975 times 800. The cross products are equal. And then simply divide both sides by 242 to cancel. And so that way we'll just get x equals, and we'll use our calculator to do 4,975 times 800 divided by 242. Okay, so we'll do that on our calculator. All right, do that on our calculator. 4,975 times 800 divided by 242, and we get to the nearest whole number, 16,446.2. That means the 0.2 we would round down, right? The 0.2 is 4 or less for the tenths right here. So it would be 16,446. We would leave the ones digit alone or rounding down. All right? Let's look at problem number 7, or homework exercise number 7. A woman's height is related to the length of the femur, the bone from the knee to the hip, by the formula F equals 0.432h minus 10.44. Both h and f are measured in inches. A partial skeleton is found of a woman in which the femur is 16.5 inches long. Police find the skeleton in an area where a woman slightly over 5 feet tall has been missing for over a year. Could the partial skeleton be that of the missing woman? Explain. Okay, so the femur is equal to 0.432 times h minus 10.44. Now notice the femur is 16.5. So we put in 16.5 for the femur, and we get 0.432 times h minus 10.44. So we're going to go ahead and solve for h. We're going to go ahead and add 10.44 to both sides. So these cancel. So we're going to get 26.94 equals 0.432 times h. Okay, and now we're going to simply divide both sides by 0.432. Okay, so then these will cancel and we'll get h is equal to the 26.94 divided by 0.432. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that on our calculator since it's messy decimals. 26.94 divided by 0.432. Okay, so 26.94 divided by 0.432, and we get 62.36. Okay, now 62.36, there's 12 inches in a foot, right? So divided by 12, this person's going to be a little bit taller than 5 feet. Okay, so now could the partial skeleton be of that of the missing woman who's slightly over 5 feet? Yeah, it's 5 feet, 0.19, right? So yes, according to the formula, the femur belongs to a woman who is approximately, well, we go back to inches, right? To 1 decimal place. Back to inches is 62.36. Okay, the inches are what we got from the first answer. So 62.36 rounded to 1 decimal. The 6 is 5 or higher, so we would add 1 to the 3 and get 62.4. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in. 62.4. All right, very good. "38 pounds of coffee beans are required to produce 2 pounds of farmer's coffee. How many pounds of coffee beans are required to produce 495 pounds of farmer's coffee?" Okay, again, we can set this up, solve this with a proportion. We got the amount of beans I can put in a numerator, and the amount of coffee is in the denominator, or you could switch it as long as you're consistent. Everything's in pounds, right? So there's 38 pounds of coffee beans. That produces 2 pounds of coffee. How many pounds of coffee beans? So we're missing beans, which is in the numerator, right? Beans to produce 495 pounds of farmer's coffee. So 495 is in the denominator, coffee. All right, how can we solve for x? Cross products are equal. So 2x is equal to 38 times 495. And so simply divide both sides by 2 and get x is 38 times 495. And then divide by 2. Again, we can go ahead and do this on our calculator. So we'll do it. 38 times 495 divided by 2. And we would need 9,405 pounds of coffee. Homework exercise number 9. Mary's car will go 434 miles on 15.5 gallons of gasoline in highway driving. How many gallons will it take to drive 2,523 miles from her house to a friend's house? And again, we'll just assume it's always on highway. So again, if you want to do miles in the numerator and gallons of gas in the denominator. Okay, so what are we given? In the highway, we had 401 trip, 434 miles on 15.5 gallons. This time the trip is going to be 2,523 miles. number of miles, and we want to know how many gallons. That's what we're missing, so that's our x. Okay, so once we set up the proportion to solve for x, cross products are equal. 434 times x equals 2,523 times 15.5. Divide both sides by 434 to cancel the 434 and get x equals, and again, we'll do this on our calculator. 2523 times 15.5 divided by 434. All right, 2,523 times 15.5 divided by 434. And how many gallons? Round up to the nearest integer. Be careful. This is one where it's just easy. Round the word up. So 90.107. Even though it's only 0.1, the nearest integer is right here, we automatically go up to 91 because of that word up. If it was just round to the nearest, it would be 90. But round up, we would have to go ahead and bring it up to 91. And again, that's because they want to make sure they have enough gas to get all the way there. So in terms of rounding up, the answer is 91 gallons. How far can Mary drive on 143 gallons of gas? So now we have miles. The one we have is 434 over 15.5. And how many miles? X, we don't know miles, right? And the number of gallons of gas is 143. Cross products, 15.5 times X equals 434 times 143, the other cross product, and divide by 15.5, so that we cancel there and we reduce it to 1. 1x times x is just x, so x is going to be that 434 times 143 divided by 15.5. And of course, we'll do that on our calculator. For 34 times 143 divided by 15.5, and we can go round down to the nearest integer. It's exactly a whole number, so we just keep it at 4,004. We're going to stop this session here. If you have any questions, please send me an email at tswiers@hodges.edu, TSWIERSZ, or call me at 239-938-7805. Thank you.